You're listening to the Out of the Box podcast with Timmy, Halisa and Sinosure.
Welcome to another episode of Out of the Box. I'm Halisa and there's Sinosure and Juro Timmy. In fact, before we get into today's episode, I would like to urge you, I should have done this. We do it at the end, but I'm going to do it at the beginning today. If you have not followed us, do that so you get notified whenever we do, post a new episode. So let's get into this.
Where should we follow you?
Yeah, you follow us on Out of the Box, like OOTB. You can use hashtag OOTB podcast. Follow us on all any podcast streaming platform that you do have Out of the Box. Okay, you can also leave your review so you get informed when we post anything, because we're very informative. We are very informative. We'll do that when our anniversary come. But right now, we are giving you information. You should be paying us. Okay. Today, we're going to talk about student loan. And let's just get into it. Yeah. Student loan. Yep. So
student loan should be the loan that they give to students now.
Yeah, that they give to students. I wish it was that simple.
In Nigeria, it's a loan they give to people whose parents cannot afford 500k in an entire year. So, which means that each parent should be earning less than 20,000 naira, or about 20,000 naira thereabouts, so that it doesn't sum up to 500k in a year. And there's also a loan that they give to people that
know people that are in level 12,
So nobody that in level 12 in the civil service, or they know is it just justice of peace, or what they call that thing again?
Justice of peace.
Is it justice of peace? While we were a little younger, we usually classify that JP as Jerusalem pilgrimage.
You guys were sophisticated. You even knew justice of peace. Is it all? I was like, what is justice of peace again? When we saw it,
you get to see. But seriously, so are you by implication stating that each of the parents, right, in any household will not be earning up to an amount of money that can get us a Campari if we decide to go on a short outing to a lounge on a Friday night? But that's awkward, right? Do
you know the thing is not even your parents, it's a household income. So if you have a parent, like a mom, like a father, a mother, maybe a brother older than 58 than 18, because they say household income. I think I remember that being stated. So now we're even like working under the premise of it just being your mom and your dad, right? It could be household income. So it could be like you guys should be earning like 5,000. While we're laughing like it's funny, I guess there are people out there that earns that, but that's like not really the whole story, right? Yeah, we'll be digging deeper and deeper into the whole conversation around student loan. But student loan is not something that just started today, right, in Nigeria. And why it's a thing that we're trying to talk about now is because there's a new sheriff in town. There's a new administration, and there are things that are being signed, There are things that are being signed in the premise of letting the poor breathe. So we don't know if it's the poor that are breathing or the rich, but there's a lot of things that are happening. So we try to keep up with them, and we also try to bring historical context to them too. So student loan, let's talk about student loan, because
before you go to student loan, Biko, I mean, you have to calm down a little.
All right.
He said, let the poor breathe.
Yeah, breathe. Why don't you get the accent? I mean, aren't you from California or what?
I am actually from Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, Chicago. Okay. Yeah, my bad.
It goes like, let the poor breathe. Let the poor breathe. But don't suffocate the poor. But you know what I think, really, right? And this is me getting serious. I'm not joking again, What I think is that statement in itself has a lot of dimensions to it. And as somebody who is very choicy with words, right? I usually am on the lookout for people's choice of words whenever they are stating anything. So definitely, the Nigerian political class understands the fact that Nigerians are poor, and that statement could mean we know we have been choking them for a long time, but let's give them some respite as if things are going to get normal by introducing the Loan Act, yada yada, and then perhaps then strike them with increase in school fee, and then we return them back to status quo. And it has been, I mean, it seemed to me more like a proper way to sum up what has been happening with respect to policy making in Nigeria, right? You hear, we want to fight corruption in subsidy, and then they remove the subsidy. They give you the impression that they are fighting for you, and then they go against you. But in this case, I do not want to conclude that this indeed is the Nigerian government going against the Nigerian people, right? Because me, I want to hear what Dorothy has to say about this old student loan bill. But before then, I would say we should do a little bit of visit, or let me say revisiting of the history of education, particularly in Nigeria, you understand? I mean, let's start from somewhere around 1952 to put context to it, right? Dorothy, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, so practically, if whenever I think of education in Nigeria, right, perhaps my bias is coming in here, and then I would like to probe my thoughts as I'm speaking because I'm trying to usher my thought out there. There is a place of the Action Group, AG. I think Action Group is the name. In 1952, where they started the first free education program in Nigeria, and it was a primary education, right? And then subsequently, we saw the adoption of that all across the country, right? We saw the Northern People's, is it Northern People's Party or Congress? And then we have the NCNC, National Congress of Nigeria and the Cameroon. The names are in that line. So literally, we had a party in the eastern region, we had a party in the northern region, and then we had the AG in the western region. And the western region started it. And very importantly as well, to put things in proper context, Alisa, we have always been arguing about this idea of where the Federal Capital Territory was indeed in Nigeria when it was in Lagos. Right? So the areas within the area within the Lagos metropolis, we also saw that the federal government started adopting that AG's policy. So it became a thing that primary education became free, right? And then later you see secondary education emerge, and then you see it going as far back as extending to university education. That was around 1978 when the UPN was in charge of the southwest region of Nigeria generally. And then they implemented it. And then since then, we've had a lot going. People saying, oh, university education was never free anytime in Nigeria. No, it's a lie. It was free under the UPN. High school education was also free. Primary education was also free. And very interesting, right, is the fact that in the 1999 Constitution, we have read Section 2 and 1 subsection 18 subsection 3, pointing to the fact that education, as a matter of fact, should be free at all levels when such is practicable.
You've hit the sweet spot for a lot of people. They say when it is practicable. Now they'll tell you, is it practicable? And they'll be screaming and happy about it like it's something to be proud of, right? But at the same time, when it's practicable is one, I call it clause that they've been using to point out to a narrative that it's not possible for the government to fund education the way they used to. So yeah, just because you said that, I wanted to highlight that because some people would jump on that very quickly.
They conclude from their own heads, that is not practicable, right? They just, sit down. They don't even ask, is it? They just know, it's not. That's, according to what like politicians tell them, I think politicians just tell them, oh, we can't afford to do this, and they, without doing any research, without even looking at the lifestyle which Nigerian politicians are living, the wasteful lifestyle, and the wastage in governance, and looking at all of the things that we have available to us, right? If we had a good government, they just conclude that it's not practicable, so education should be a luxury. But I think we should go back into the history Sinosure is building up.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it goes without saying that a people who perhaps do not recollect their history, or who have no proper grasp of their history, are bound to be misled in the future. And that is also very interesting for me, because I am also a person, we've spoken to it on previous episode, that I listen to oral history a lot. It's through songs, through eulogies. I mean, when you speak to your mother as an African, there's a way they want to talk to you. There are some things they recite to you that tells what your father is. Some people, they call them the child of a lion. Agu Koroye. Some people, Aguna something. You understand? They just are telling you that one way or the other, your parents are people who are highly respected. Like, even if the environment was a jungle, they were king in the jungle. But in the Nigerian education setup, the story has been such that promotes the idea that the government has no responsibility for education. But indeed, the primary responsibility of the government is to attain or ensure that they attend to the welfare of the citizens. That's why they get taxes. That's why they get a lot of things. But now we are in the age of the Loan Act, which has been assented by the president, Mr. Ahmed Tinubu. And then we are in a space now where we are now saying, how many more people are going to get out of school, especially seeing as the Loan Act has to do with the universities? More. Only. Not even more. Only. So what's going to happen to the primary education and the secondary education? Are we going to continue to view more out-of-school children? Is that what we want to do for ourselves? Is that the best we can do, really? And then Obasanjo signed that thing, right? Maybe he signed it or not, but of course it was a thing under him. And then they had a lot of things. They had conference in 2004 where the southern part of the country worked out for some reasons, disagreement on some terms. And then we had the Constitutional Conference, the CONFAB, in 2014 or 2013, 2014, they were about again. And then a lot of things. And then we also had the likes of our Sonye report on how to administer the civil service so much that the bloated costs there will be addressed. And then we can be able to fund the infrastructure and the sectors that are necessary. But here we are today. Unilag has communicated to their students from one of my feelers there that they are most likely going to increase school fee by the next coming session. OAU has communicated to their people subliminally that they are going to increase school fee very soon. I know those ones will go on strike, no doubt. Because of that, I know they will go on strike, except if the student union there is dead. And then you have the likes of State University as well, also suggesting that they want to increase school fee. The one they have increased in the past has not increased the quality of the education. But the point is, how many Nigerians can indeed afford to go into school at the current rate? When the school fee is high and they are not able to access loans, how many of them will also have to drop out? They increased school fee during our time in the university to 19,700. And then if you see the number of people that had to struggle to it all, and the number of people that didn't just resume back, it begs the question that, are the government really considering the people? Do what to me?
Well, it will just, I think it will just push that or help further prove the narrative that's not the narrative, the fact that the Nigerian government itself is a little bit detached from not massively detached from the people that it governs, right? And I'll bring us back to the student loan itself. I think the conversation has been properly flogged. I don't want to say over flogged, but properly flogged on social media, because until it's corrected, it's still what stands. I think people have pointed out, everything that is wrong with it. And in the words of someone on Twitter, she said everything is great about the bill in as far as the bill is great in as far as we change everything about it, right? So and that's the point that I would actually hammer on, right? Because the criteria for the student's loan, first off, we can even get into the argument that at this particular point in time, and as many people have suggested, people who cannot even afford, a household that cannot afford 500K per year should not even be talking about loans. Those people should be giving grants to go and study for free, right? Should go and study, right? We should not be talking about loans for this kind of people, right? Given that the current administration is what's is the one that's is in power right now, there's little that the people can actually, because they can claim that, oh, people voted for them because they believe in these ideas, which I do not believe, right? But we come back into the student loan, and then we discover that the criteria for the loan, who qualifies for the loan, what you need to do before you get the loan, people that you need to get as guarantors, level 12 civil servants, and all of those complications, right? All of those things that makes the thing just overwhelming for people, right? And one would wonder what kind of family would not be able to raise up to 500K combined income in a year. If those kind of families, how are they going to have access to a level 12 officer? How are they going to have, because we're talking about maybe the market woman, even maybe below the market, maybe the market woman who is not even doing so well in the markets, because the fact that you're a market woman does not mean that you're extremely poor, right? But the market woman who is not doing so well, or people who have maybe zero income, or are not working, or all those kind of things. So how do those kind of people have access to a level 12 officer, and some of the other criteria that are put in there? I mean, it's just so overwhelming for people, right? And it shows you that the people who propose this bill, they are absolutely detached from the people.
So, Dorothy, like you said now, and you said these people that created this the bill that is now a law or something like that, like you said, they are detached, like massively detached from the people, right? But somebody now raised a very salient point, actually, when we're having this conversation. This is a very interesting one, because we kept on having it consistently, continuously, and I'm so glad that we did not quickly just pass over it like we do for every other issue, right? So somebody raised the point. The person was like, are we also detached from reality of being so surprised that there are families that earn less than 500K a year? Because the way we are talking about it, it's sounding as if we do not know that there are a lot of families that there are loads of families that are earning that amount of money. That is it that we are not considerate enough to the people that are indigent, which is a vocabulary I'm beginning, like I do not particularly like, don't whitewash poverty or whatever. Anyways, so I'm just saying that those people are detached, but the reaction, sometimes some people saw it as, are we also detached? That we are where are we coming from, right? If you get my point.
Like, yeah, one of the problems with this loan is when you look at the people around, poverty does not just have to do with how much you make, but at the end of the day, how much is left after expenses, daily expenses, right? Because when you look at the people that we consider poor around us, we have the bike riders, popularly known as Okada, we have the bus drivers, we have all of those people, right? Even the market women and everything. What we are trying to say is that majority of people that will be considered extremely poor in a country like Nigeria, that live in perpetual poverty, still make above 500K in a year. All right, the household income is above 500, and they are still considered extremely poor. All right, so it's like saying, let me break it down a little bit. It's like saying, government wants to help people, but they want to help people that don't, or even though, like, even if you make 50K in Nigeria a month, you will still be extremely poor, right? You cannot afford, the basics, but they will now cap it at, we're only helping people that earn below 5K, right? How does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. you should expand the brackets. Now I'm starting to sound like one
So
of
you're
the
trying
people
to
that.
say the bill is not totally bad. It's new, so we can reform it. Is that what you're trying to say?
You know what's interesting about this? I made an
What?
analogy earlier, which I was actually trying to drive that conversation out from the beginning. The analogy of Campari, when I said it's something we just take at a lounge on a Friday night, and that's what some people earn per month. I was actually taking a jab at the Lagos pseudo elites, right? Who do not indeed know what is going on in other parts of the country. So whenever they bring this loan out, the conversation are usually more rife in Lagos. But what you find out is that the analysis will be such that it's distorted because Lagos is an outlier in Nigeria. And I must state clearly, not because of what anybody is doing on Lagos, it's because of the strategic importance of Lagos to West Africa, number one, and to Nigeria, number two. Right? And if a lot of people will not get this, right? If it was Warri as well that was the capital city of Nigeria first, it is Warri all of us will be going to now. If it is Akwa Ibom by the seaside, it's Akwa Ibom every one of us will be going to. I don't know, maybe this makes sense to you, ladies and gentlemen. But the point is, when Lagosians are now analyzing anything, right, they analyze from a place of distortion. What is distorting their view? Privilege. A conductor will go out in Lagos every day and they will bring 3,000 home. Even more. A person who's doing even much more rewarding work than a conductor will go out in Ibadan and they might bring just 1,200 home. But the person who's living in Ibadan one way or the other, you will see at the end of the day they are living in a 3-bedroom flat, which they probably are not paying more than 300,000 for every year. Why? Because there's perhaps a child in Lagos supporting them with 20k monthly, and then with their 1,200, they are somewhere where they can do about 52k monthly, and then at the end of the day, they can do about more than 600k annually, and they are spending about 200,000, 250,000 on rent, and they will find a way to live on the remainder. Why am I saying all of this? I'm saying the issues, right, should be analyzed from a point of view that is completely detached from the Lagos point of view. And then it will make sense that indeed, quite a number of people are not earning up to 500k in annual income. But if you now interpret it in US dollar terms, 500k currently is just about $800. $800 divided by 365 days. I don't know, maybe this makes sense, ladies and gentlemen. You are not going to get more than $2.30
So
every day.
that's what they used. It just clicked to me now. This below this $2 is it World Bank? What's it called? Below poverty rate. So I think that's what they use now that you just said it. So now it's looking, the conspiracy is getting more and more interesting.
Even at that, if you say $2 per day, multiplied by the current dollar rates, that will be amounting to almost 1,500.
No, because we try to talk about foreign what's it called? We importing foreign ideas, right? To deal with things that are very local and sometimes. So I'm thinking, okay, where did they even get this 500,000 of things? So
even if you
now it makes I feel like
you're still not going to get those people will not still qualify for this loan, and the problem
they are not normally expected to qualify now. I'm just trying to say, okay, if it is 500,000 and below that they are looking at, right? We are saying, okay, They are talking about people who are only able to get $2 to feed per day. Imagine a family of 3 on $2 per day, right? That means they probably will have to skip some meals because to get the proper meal now, let me talk from Ibadan, Ondo town, and Akure, right? You will need about 300 in Akure. You need about 500 in Ibadan. So it now begs the question, like, if you are using 500 to eat, how much is $2? That's about 1,500. How much is it? 30 cents on it. That's about 200 and is it is it 210 or something? I'm not so sure. I don't want to mix the math together now. But what I'm saying in
And the
essence,
$2 per day poverty thing too. It's I think it's been there since like 10 years ago. We didn't even factor the inflation that has happened, since then. But
exactly.
yeah. Uh-huh.
So now
okay.
when you now say people want to go to school, and you said you only want people who are earning, whose household are earning less than $2.30 every day to be the one that can go to school, then it now begs the question that, are you trying to say the people who are earning 1 million annually are earning fine? They can be
Yeah, and
earning fine.
the problem that this creates is that after this loan is provided, tuition is going to go up. So those people who could normally manage or struggle or suffer, to get their children to school would not be able to afford it, because by the calculation, like if an Okada operator makes more than 2,000 naira per day. He does make more than 2,000 naira. It's not an unfortunate truth, it's the reality, right? This is why our politicians need to be more connected to the people, right? He makes more than 2,000 naira per day. And if he makes more than 2,000 naira per day, and maybe he could struggle and save up and suffer to send his own child to school, which will be most likely, which should be a very, very tough occurrence. But at the same time, now he will not be able to afford it again totally, because they want to give it to someone who does not make up to that amount. Not like we're saying it's a bad thing. We are saying those people that don't even have families that don't even have incomes of up to 500,000 naira per year should be given the grants. And then you can now, if you even have at all you want to give a loan that would make sense, you reconstruct the criteria for the loan, everything that has to do with this loan, every single aspect of this loan, and then you can now be able to offer it to people who earn above this, right? Because if the Okada man and the market woman is making above 500k every year, what is the purpose? Because those people, like you're saying, Sinoshaw, they are still considered extremely, not just poor, extremely poor. So
I think that I think that there are many people that actually think this loan is a good thing, right? Because even people that I know, some people just think it's what is bad about the loan. So I think for people that do not entirely understand when they tell you that this loan is bad, I feel like we should make it a little bit more clearer, in the sense that, why is this a problem? Like, for instance, Sinoshaw, like you, for example, you've already made this clear, like in some conversations, that in federal universities, they don't exactly currently pay tuition fee. So it's like, why are you trying to give people loan when naturally there's not supposed to be tuition fee? And I think it's also stated in our law that there's not supposed to be tuition fee. So what people are paying ordinarily is school fees, which is like, department, whatever, this, that, just fee here and there. And then it might sum up to like 20K in federal universities, right?
And the developmental level of about 18K.
Exactly. So now they say they are giving you loan, and you're like, why are you giving me loan for tuition when there's no tuition fee? So what we are trying to say, right, is this thing they are trying to tell you is going to increase, because I think that we should put it in terms like that so that people get why, because sometimes people are so confused. They are saying, what? Yeah.
Like I said earlier, in the UNILAG case, they are going as far as 150,000. From what is being touted in the public space now. And you know why I am usually not really surprised is student loan seems more like an Americana concept. Right? I don't know, maybe you've read Auntie Chimamanda's work on Americana. Yeah. But it seems more like an Americana kind of thing, a foreign kind of thing. Nigerians will love it.
Yeah.
But it is indeed not their kind of thing. You know why? Because they are still the same set of people, right, who needs to be helped to acquire the level of education, just like myself as well. You understand? Because the point is, nations build their people. The people build the nation. I don't know, maybe this makes sense. Nation builds their people, and the people builds the nation. The concept of loan in itself is outsourcing the duty of building the people to the people. And when you say, student loan is the way to go, it wasn't so until 1998 in the UK. Imagine the number of years they've had as a developing country, as a developed country, before they got to that point. Now, look at the US. It wasn't so too until very recently, and in most colleges, up to college level in the US, till today, institutions are still free in public schools. Now, and it doesn't mean, pardon me, that the quality of education has declined. No, it hasn't. Research, everything is still going on. The kind of analytical learning that you need to that you need to have at that point, you will still be able to do them. So now it now takes us to the next level of the conversation. As Nigerian built its people, I think the 20 million out of school children will bear us testament that no, Nigeria has not been doing so. They've been defunding even the public education since the UPN was out of government after the coup in 1983-84. So the point is, what exactly have we done for the Nigerian people? We have taken subsidy away that they benefit from. Now we are going to take their cheap education, because normally the education is not currently free at university level. So they are now taking that even cheap education away and replacing it with a more expensive education, which means anybody who is earning 500,001 naira will not even be able to benefit from the loan. People who can get level 10, is it level 10 or 12 civil servant, and then lawyer who has practiced for 10 years cannot get the loan. So the whole conversation is, why create so much barrier or barricade around the loan that should ordinarily help with access to education for the Nigerian people? That's where my concern is. I hope that makes sense.
Yes. Many of these things that happen, and you cannot just look at what is even being said, right? You'll be looking around all of these things, and people will be telling you, look around, look at this government, look very closely, and look where you can, eat. Basically, look where you can create industry. So the scary part now is what kind of industries will start coming around when there's a loan system. There's a loan system, and they told us in the bill that there's going to be a special bank for this, and they're even trying to say, be grateful because it's going to be interest-free loan. But then you have to think about it and say, okay, do banks only make money from interest? I mean, why are you trying to play with all of Nigerians' intelligence? Like, the interest is the only way that the bank, what's it called? The people would have been able to make this thing. Because many people were making points to say that the government is even going to lose money, as if, like you said, building your citizen is not indirectly building your nation. People are saying you should be grateful, the government is going to lose money. But they are not. If they are going to establish a bank, a financial institution, and then there will be funds to that bank, from percentage from NNPC, FIRS, from here and there. They said there are ways for them to fund it. If there are ways for them to fund education for 3 years, because if they should start now, even if they give the loan to somebody that is a 400 level, the person is probably not going to start paying, until 2 years after they've done their NYSC, and that's if they are in a job and they are not arrested. So that person is not going to be paying, right? So for 3 years, it means the government can fund education, right? If they can fund it until people can give them. So if it's a serious type of system that we are running in a 3-year system, there should be ways, systems that have been put in place to also regenerate income or recoup some of the monies that have been wasted, and then if you get what I'm trying to say. So it's like, if you are not going to start giving loans today and you're going to be getting it back tomorrow, we now understand the kind of system we're running is strictly business. It's business, right? You're not going to be getting anything back. It means you can fund a lot of people for 3 whole years. What is stopping you from putting infrastructures in place that you would even be able to still fund more students? And it's just all up in the air for me. So what I think a lot of people that would reason along this line of the way I think would think, why not just give free education? Is Nigeria in a place that they can reasonably say that they want to leave people and gamble with things like education, healthcare? I would say no, we should not be gambling with things like education, because if your citizens are not educated, it's not even about that person. Yes, it's about one person building themselves, but it's about the society in general. What kind of society are we looking to have in 40 years time, right? So it's a lot of it's just a lot. It's just a lot. Is I think it's a mess. Why is there no free education? Majority of countries that are very wealthy, even up until today, still keep their education pretty low, or pretty free. Scandinavian countries are still free, even for international students. It's Canada that you go, or maybe UK, and you'll be paid extra as an international student. Yes, so well, this case,
But people would argue with you that
depressing.
education, according to some of the narratives we've heard on the internet, like people would argue with you that education is a luxury, and if you cannot afford it, you don't have to go to you don't have
That's
to.
another conversation. And
You don't
up
have
until now,
to.
they said that we were not spending up to 10% or 20% in education, right? And they were even like comparing the absolute figure with Ghana, and they said Ghana is even spending a lot more than Nigeria with our population. And then it was now looking as if they are spending so much in education that maybe they might not be able to do that again. But look at what you were even funding previously. You did not think about increasing the funds. Were the schools looking absolutely perfect for you? And people will bring the argument that ASU has been going on strike, so this is going to make ASU not go on strike again. There will be autonomous institutions and all of that. Well, the Nigerian system has proven itself over and over and over and over again to be what it is. So even when they tell you something that is nice, that's not even the case. But you already know how things go. There's already a pattern. That's just what I can say for now.
The pattern is do like you're letting them breathe and then suffocate them. Do like you're letting them breathe and then suffocate them. Oh, sorry, breathe and then suffocate them. But the point is, how long can they hold out doing these kind of things? Right? That now perhaps will create a completely different conversation. You get?
Well, if they say they can't reasonably subsidize education, but they can subsidize themselves anyways. The honorable agency are Nigerian
It is crazy. It is crazy, honestly, because and I wonder how people who support these people don't ask questions. Like, it's okay, I understand, because different political parties have a different ideology. It's like, I think Nigerians don't understand how important ideology is. It is not about the availability of money. It is about what you have interest in doing, right? There are some people that have a lot of money and they are not interested in showing off, or they're not interested in doing things that people that when you put up all those kind of activity online, people will consider you rich. So what the point I'm trying to make is, it is not about the availability of money. It is about what these people believe is more important. If they actually understand the importance of education, if they actually understand the importance of investing in the people, because investing in human development also goes beyond education. If they actually understand that the Nigerian people they are one of the biggest resources that are available to the Nigerian state to develop itself, they would invest more into it. But they don't believe in it. I don't think they believe in the people. They believe in oil. Oh, let's sell oil. Oh, they believe in using the people to get what they want, but they don't want to develop people, to such a point that they can even
you just
stand.
made a point now that I also mentioned to you. I think if there's Nigerians are like dollar signs, like dollar bills, they'll be looking at us. And that's why sometimes I really do not like referring to Nigerians in data like 133 million. We have to do it, obviously. We have to reference something. But if you just use your mind to imagine, when they say 20 million children are out of school, you would not even be able to imagine it, right? So the way we deal with people self, it's like in data, in numbers. And I think that the way that the system is dealing with Nigeria now is just like when they are looking at Nigerians, they are just looking at dollar bills. I don't even know, it's all up in the air. But they can definitely subsidize themselves, at least from the news that we've been getting since last week from RMAFC. RMAFC.
Yeah.
Let's
it goes back to what I always tell people, like if politicians or if the rulers of Nigeria are saying that there's no money to fund education, there's no money to fund healthcare, there's no money to fund anything, right? Because at least even Nigerians are not people that like to demand for a whole lot. If you just give them something, just give them they're just asking for like the bare minimum, right? So where can we see this? Where can we see the impact of all of the resources that Nigeria has? Where can we see it? Is it in infrastructure? Is it in healthcare? Is it in education? Is it what sector is really doing well that the government is that the government has made do well, right? And it's little or nothing. And at such a time where Nigerians are trying to cope with increase in pump price and so many other things, and even increase in tuition and so many other things that they're going to propose, because they're going to take out subsidies on almost everything that we currently have, right? And at such a time, the RMAFC, feels that it's convenience, and that's the board that is responsible for, reviewing how much Nigerian public office holders actually make, right?
The revenue mobilization, allocation, and fiscal commission. Let's just put that in the RMAFC. Think that it's a great time for them to present, increment in public offices salaries, and it's a whole go on, Dorothy, just go on, I beg.
So it's very funny, right? Because there was a court case, I think Serap sued the RMAFC 2 years ago, 2021, and the judgment, part of the judgment, and what the judge told the RMAFC, according to something I read, according to the report I read online, was that they should actually review the salaries of Nigerian politicians to reflect the poor economy. And after such a judgment was given, like it's so funny that these people sat down, and after all of their research and reviews or whatsoever they did, and the only thing that they could arrive at is that, well, we've not increased these people's salaries for a long time, and even though people have been crying that the salaries of Nigerian and salaries, allowances, and benefits that Nigerian politicians get should be cut down drastically, because we cannot keep on funding such madness, right? And these people considered raising or reviewed and submitted a proposal to the National Assembly and State Assembly and the presidency to get salaries increased of Nigerian politicians by a whooping 114%. So
no, but they're doing us a favor though. They said consumer price index has increased by like 370 something percent during the long period since the last time they did the review was like in 2007-8. So they did not increase it by 370 something percent. They actually, considered the state of the country and decided to only, do 114%. Let's clap for them.
So it's funny, because if they claim that they have not increased this politician salary for like almost how many years, and whatever the politicians are getting is still, we are even saying they should even reduce it. Now imagine that's what these guys have been earning across all these years when things were even more affordable. It is so crazy. And I also heard a particular Nigerian senator, he came on a Twitter space. I think that's Shehu Sani. And he said when he joined politics, or when he became a lawmaker, he came from a background of activism and demanding better governance and transparency and everything. So he thought it well to reveal how much Nigerian senators actually make, right? And the backlash that he got after doing that, most of his fellow lawmakers were against him. They were angry at him that he revealed. So it's like a secret cult. Once you get in there, it's like they have this 1 day orientation or 1 week orientation where they tell you, anything that goes on in this place, you don't go online and say it. Because he said he almost lost his seat and people were angry with him. His fellow lawmakers were, he said something that was funny, that his fellow lawmakers were, like, why would you reveal such that people are now fighting with them? That, they didn't want anybody to know how much they earn. So it's really crazy that we have that kind of secrecy from people that we want, we expect transparency from, right? And he still went further to say that there are several levels in the National Assembly that maybe if you are the head of one particular, what do they call it? Senator can help me out. Maybe one particular team or one particular I've forgotten the term that they use. You are actually paid more. And if you're the Senate president, you don't get paid what the regular senators get. If you are the majority leader or minority leader, whatever it is, you get some certain increase to what the average Nigerian senator earns, amongst other benefits. Let's not also forget the person who is the current Senate president now.
We are running a vast crime scene.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The person who was Senate president, remember when he was called, he was called to be questioned by some Nigerian senators concerning some things, and he started revealing, that, you guys are the ones that are getting all of the benefits here. You guys are and they were telling him off your mic, So this we are, like Senator said, we are these people are just ripping the Nigerian people off. And at the end of the day, what pains me is not that they use that how much they're getting to, better the lives of Nigerian people so that we can match up. They will still run the economy to the ground, and then they will tell us that there's no money, and then we will now have to start paying for it via, cuts in all of the subsidies, cuts in all of the the help that the Nigerian state should give to its people. And I was thinking of it today, right, that the only reason why we have not entered that massive crisis is that these people still have the ability to take loans. If it's that Nigerian government will not get loan to do anything, I think that by now the Nigerian people will have actually, stood up for themselves. That's it, But because each government comes into power and they still have the ability to borrow, to do whatever they want to do, and plunge the future generations of Nigeria into more debts, they can keep on doing what they are doing. So it's crazy. And I'm happy that the Nigerian people this time around, they sustained the conversation. In fact, it was starting from this students' loan. They sustained the conversation, and we're getting there gradually, and they also sustained the conversation about this 1.5% increase.
Yeah, we did. I think that's why we did get the feedback that what's it called? It's not been signed officially, right? They tried to make it fake news, which I think that many people should be very careful of how they scream fake news, because I think you're calling indirectly for censorship of the media. That's why any government would have the audacity, honestly, to stop people from using some platform without any democratic process. If we're in a democracy, let's be in a democracy. We can discuss these things, and I think a lot of Nigerians are very reasonable, honestly. Like, you tell them something as their leader and they'll follow it, which is something that has led us to a point where we are like, are we even too docile? But what's it called? Yeah, so let's also hear your takes, I know, on this salary increment thing, or the salary of a thing.
Capitalism for the poor, socialism for the rich. And until people understand what that means, right, they will keep getting surprised by what they see every day in Nigeria. And you know why it's interesting for me? In the corporate settings, they give you KPIs, key performance indicators, right, that they will monitor to know how you have performed, right? In the Civil service for politicians. Let me put it as politicians. Let me say civil service, because there are still serious civil servants out there who are doing the work very well. For politicians, what's their KPI? Is it not supposed to be poverty index, GDP growth, number of out of school children, improvement in road infrastructure, improvement in rail infrastructure, access to health care? Abi, the things that promote the welfare of the people, that's supposed to be their KPI. But none of it is being actualized as we speak today. And they want to get paid more. They should be fired. But even the Nigerian people don't know that they can fire them, and that's where the problem lies. Take, for instance, when the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission came out and they said they want to increase salary, it's their prerogative to do. But what we are saying is, my conversation now is not to say it is illegal. No, it is legal. But I'm just saying, like, it is moral. Is it moral for you to do such? You have not returned any dividend of your governance to the people. You have not done anything to improve the life of the people. Yet you want to get rewarded more. You should be fired instead. And another very important thing that we must bear in mind is the fact that this seems to me more like a coordinated attempt. Let me say, could also be a coordinated attempt to give some people some kind of clout. Imagine they take it to Tinubu and Tinubu says, no, we are not collecting any additional money. Take it back. We have just told the Nigerian people to take subsidy. And when you tell him in the future that you must return our subsidy, they will tell you, even our own subsidy, I remove it. You have seen them doing it in Lagos. Do with me, you can attest to this. Fashola will under-promise so as to overperform. Things that will yield 10, there's a very high likelihood that we say, it will yield 8. And at the end of the day, what you get is you will get 10. And then you'll be, that's impressive. You beat the KPI. Who set the KPI? Set it by himself by underplaying your expectation. Or let me say by understating what you should expect and then outperforming it. So at the end of the day, what they have just shown to us is that they are trying to play this game I've just mentioned, or perhaps they are trying to tell us that we know that you have taken some heat so that Nigeria can progress. But that doesn't mean we will not be rewarded for our service to you, which is we helping you to make your life better, but is our lives better. So it is indeed the case that it's not illegal for them to increase it, but they have a moral burden on them now, which states that you have not made the life of the people whose office you are currently occupying better. Then you should have a moral pushback, really, in the real sense, that deters you from going about increasing your own salary. Don't forget, the head of RMAFC is chosen by the president. And these are the conversations.
Not just the head, Sinoshaw, the entire commissioners, the entire representatives from each state is recommended according to what I found out. You see, Sinoshaw, one thing that Nigerian people must do is learn to find information for themselves. If not, this ruling party, they will use propaganda to kill us, right? The entire representative from each state is submitted as a recommendation from the presidency, according to what I found out, right? So it is very crazy.
Okay, I have one question to ask, right? So they said, we've been advocating for like cut down of expenditure, leakages, let leakages be blocked and all of these things. And somebody was trying to make a case for how much that they're even earning, that if you cut it down, what would it do for infrastructure? What would it do for the Nigerian people if, the money that is being paid to the public office holders? And I think, not generally, but the public office holders here, I'm talking about people that are directly in this ruling class, in like maybe the house or all of those places in the government, not civil servants. So, but then even civil servants, those people when they come and they have to like change their cars, do this one, that one. It's just a lot of spending, right? But then at the same time, people are like, at the end of the day, when you total that amount, is it going to give you billions or trillions that you want to invest somewhere else? Is it that massive, or is there a case there, kind of thing? Someone was actually asking this, so just wanted to hear a little bit on that, maybe figure wise, and we'll see, take it from there.
I actually missed that question.
Okay, right. So what I'm trying to say is that, are these people being overpaid for real? Or I don't know. Yes.
The point is, at times, right, the bonuses, right, or the bonus that they get, or let me say the allowances, let's put it that way. Allowance is the right word. That they get is some proportion of their basic earnings, right? But over time, we've realized that is even bigger than their basic pay in the real sense. So it now gives us an impression that if you increase the salary now, you are literally increasing the benchmark upon which those allowances are built. Then you will see them earning more allowances. And then there's also the plate of saying the current amount they are earning in the real sense, do they even deserve it? And another issue is, do we even need to... Yeah, do they deserve it? And then do we even need to run this kind of bloated government where we have a bicameral legislative arm that are doing so much and doing nothing? Right? So the thing is, anything that is going into the wallet of the Nigerian government now and it's not picking out money for capital expenditure, right, is a problem that needs to be ended. The only thing that can be allowed in that sense are the things that ensures that the society is not completely left in a state where it can descend into anarchy. Like this first subsidy removal, right? If they had maintained it, I wouldn't have stuck. You know why? Because it's actually one of the glues that is still currently holding Nigeria together. You can fight the corruption in the system, but leave the benefit for the people. And if you want to remove subsidy, collect the database of everybody, know where they are, know what they are doing, know what they earn, and know how to put money in their wallet every day. And you see, Nigerians are always good to import anything into Nigeria, except for the things that will benefit them. I was checking earlier yesterday, and I found out that in the US, social intervention programs sums up to more than 40. Unemployment benefit, child care something, triple P something, KIPP program, this program, that program, just to ensure that people go to school, get access to it, Obamacare, mention it. They spent about $848 billion US in 2018 out of a budget of about 4.3 trillion US dollar on social intervention program. That's a sizable amount of their budget. That's about 20%. Is it 20%? About 25%. So now when you now talk, right, in Africa, and you said whatever the people are benefiting should be taken away from them, you do not indeed have a proper grasp of the African problem. And this salary is actually, like I said, is somewhat like a disguise, a smoke screen towards a larger plot to get more allowances. And if the Nigerian people want it to continue, so shall it be. But we, as a matter of fact, I think it should not be allowed to go.
For me, Sino Show, right? For me, I just think that it is very simple. Your salary as a politician should be directly proportional to your performance. And what the Nigerian people have said and are still saying is that over the years, these people have underperformed. If Nigerian politician, and by performance, I would mean how you've been able to improve the lives of your people in such a way that we're not riddled in massive poverty, right? So just imagine that we Nigerians were doing good. Majority of Nigerians were doing good. Who cares about how much a politician is earning? We want them to imagine if everywhere healthcare is working, education is everything in Nigeria, or majority of things, because we're always gonna have one problem or the other, right? But at least this country is working and the people are happy. Then these people can earn as much as they want. Nobody cares, right? But when people are living in extreme poverty, and these politicians want to keep on, they want to increase, even when we should be calling for a reduction, they want to increase, how much they're earning. I think it makes absolutely no sense. What are they doing? Just like you've said, what exactly are they doing? How have they improved the lives of the Nigerian people? And in the private sector, if you're not performing well, they take you out. So your earnings should be directly proportional to your performance, and the performance of the Nigerian government, so far so good. It's poor, So
I think you made a good point with that performance, and I think the way that performance has been evaluated, have been evaluated up until now, is in a very warped manner, because people think performance is how many bridges have you built, how many trains have you built, right? Great, fine and good. Infrastructure, hard infrastructure, soft infrastructure. Infrastructure is good, but I think that we should bring it down, down to simple things, like how many people have you. No, that I just feel like that's just too much. Let's not even go into the quality of that. Let's just bring it down to even how the US even do it. Like, when you came into office, how many people did you take out of poverty? If at China, they said, during how many period, how many years, right? They'll say, okay, 50 million people left poverty, right? How many people did you bring out of poverty? If more people were plunged into poverty, it's a failure. If it's I think we should not even try to do this mental gymnastic too much, Seth. How many people were employed during your time in office? Even though we're so rough in data collection, I think that's even an excuse. I don't know why people bring it up all the time, that we don't have data and all of those things. Why don't you have data? Why is that my problem, right? So if you're performing well, right, you would even want to have data. You would do everything to make sure you're showing people it went from this to this. Like poverty, people were brought out of poverty this way. People got more employed in this way. Like, bring it to simple things, and things when you don't reflect on the lives of Nigerians. Even if Nigeria makes 10 millionaires, because I'm kind of legit worried that that's what's going to happen. Like, maybe we'll have like 20 more millionaires or something, and people will be thinking, or that is going to reflect maybe in our GDP, and people will be thinking that the lives of Nigerians just became better all of a sudden. It's probably not going to be that. You have to bring people into put this thing into proper, should I call it proper human index metrics, if there's anything like that. So that's just what I think. And I think the point we're trying to make is education is not something that can be gambled at this time. Get more people educated. Let's have, if I'm more than 75% of people that finish tertiary institution, because they are trying to sell this idea to us now that university education is not that important, which I get. But how many different variety of tertiary institutions do we have? Do we have art institutions? Do we have people in some kind of sports institutions? Do we have people in some kind of vocational schools? Nigeria only, no, not only, but majorly have university and polytechnic, right? And they say they do have some vocational schools, but how many do they have? We don't have that much variety, so you can't really be saying people should not just go. You need to guide people, basically. Like, a lot of Nigerians still need to be guided, so I don't think we can gamble like that with education, with things like that. So I think that's one of the biggest points, and we need to see efficiency, right? So yeah, do you guys want to say anything? Add your
I just want to say to Nigerians, Omota kota oko lo mangbele bakota. In essence, what that means is the child you refuse to train, send to school, is going to eventually be your Achilles heel. Why so? Because what it tends to breed is an environment where ignorance thrives. Where ignorance thrives, your kids are easily recruitable for insurrectionists, for terrorists, for all sorts of vices in the society. And don't forget, the government who is not interested in funding free education today, we have to buy a Tucano jet to fight those insurrectionists when it's time. Would you rather invest in education now and save yourself those vile, or let me say, toxicity in the future? Or let me say, those destruction in the future? It is your choice to make. Have a good night.
Join us next time.
All right.
You're listening to the Out of the Box podcast with Timmy, Halisa, and Sinosure.